What is going on, ladies and gents? It's been a minute since I've done a video, so I just thought I'd do another one. I'm going to call this one Delta Held Galore. Over the past few weeks, obviously I've managed to pass the challenge. I'll probably go into... I'll probably do a separate video on that because I ran into some issues. We'll cover a little bit of it today, but today I just want to go over the Delta Held pattern because ultimately I've got a plan that's really coming together and my confidence in the market's just going up and up. And the basis of it is, or the basics, the basic premises, the basic premise of it is basically starting with the Delta Held setup and waiting for that free. And once you start drilling this and you see it happening over and over again, it becomes sort of like not doing it doesn't really make any sense. So we'll start from the daily. I did just cover this in Sipes video, but I just wanted to take a little bit more time on it. So yeah, the daily time price action's fractal, so whatever plays out on the small time frames plays out across all of them. So here we have a Delta Held for sell side, which is concerning. Starting here with the 1, the 2, and then up here by the sell DCA delta, we've got the 3 here. The internal's not yet broken on the range, so although we've got this sort of bearish setup, the reason I wouldn't say we're completely bearish yet is because the low is still intact. This only wicked through. This base is still untested. Of course, it could go either way. On the daily here, we've got trap sellers. Prices come into this gold zone initially, come up into it, and then push down violently. It's failed to break the internal high, or it might have just kissed it. Nope, failed to break it. And then seeing this massive fire on the delta edge, and then prices sold off, which is that the reason I passed? Yeah, so I was just catching all these sells pretty much the whole way down, which is why I managed to pass a challenge. Pretty easy price action. And then we've come down into a... I've cleared off the markings, but there's a Delta Held here for the buys. That's your low swept. That's your high swept. And then I would imagine I've marked it from this high. That's not worked. I've gotten that gold zone from somewhere. It might be on the 4 hour. Let's drop. That's the internal low. This is a 90% discount from somewhere, so let's take a look. Anyway, so we've got this main premise. Delta Held, sell Delta Held playing out on the daily, which is why we've got this sell off and then this little fight that we've got going on here. And then we come on to the 4 hour. Ah, there we go. So that puts that to bed. This is the 4 hour, the Delta Held that I just struggled to find on the higher time frame. Don't need that. I would imagine I've marked it from there to there. Yeah. Or something along those lines. Looking at this, I would probably say that. And then we've come down. Yeah, that's it. Don't know why that gold zone's off, but got the 90% right there. Come down into this area. Delta Held this leg. Yeah, and then we've retested the 3, and then we've pushed up on from there. So as I say, this plays out on every time frame, and it's obviously, if you wanted to swing trade, you could do that from the daily and the 4 hour. My preference and most people's preference in this group is day trading, so we can use it there too. But yeah, on the 4 hour, let's zoom back in on this range. So just for reference, we're looking at this area here now. And then we zoom in on the 4 hour. And here we go. So we've got the same again. Delta held. You've got your 1 buy side, yeah. So clears the low and then takes out the high that set the low, which would be here, and then price goes on up, and you wait for it. You just mark your free and wait for price to come back to it, and that's where we're at now. And then we've come into the buy zone. We're expecting some defense because sellers have been trapped here before. So we've got this infighting that mixed with the low volatility is, you know, it's why people are finding this tricky, because we've gone from super directional, i.e. this down leg, and then super directional buys, and then now price is just at a standoff, which we can sort of see why when we zoom out, right? Because we're at this sort of pivotal moment where if this level fails, you know, we could be going into a full-on bear market and heading all the way down here. Do I think that's going to happen? I honestly don't know. I hope not, because that would not be good. Alternatively, buyers win and push on up. So again, that brings us back to our 4 hour range. We've got the buy side, delta held, and then from the top we've also got sell side, which is untouched, and the delta held is very reliable, so most likely that's gonna get hit. I would like to think. For now though, looking quite bearish because this internal high has not yet been taken, and then this 90% has appeared from somewhere. So I'm gonna get rid of that, unless that's from the 10-minute chart, in which case that will make more sense. It looks like it is. Yeah, so this looks a bit messy. And again, this is, you might look at this price action, you know, it's NQ, it's supposed to be moving up and down, it's supposed to be super volatile, which it is moving up and down, and clearly it is quite volatile. But in between the nice up and down moves, we've got this, you know, sideways crappy action, and then this is also why it is good to use the sort of range tool. So we come into something like this, we can see that it's ping-ponging, use a range tool, and then that sort of clears up. You know, if you're entering around the 50% of the range, most likely you're going to get wrecked, because that's where all the fighting happens. You want to be buying from discounts, either buy side or sell side, which brings us on to the utility of the delta held once more. We've got the sell side here, takes a high, sweeps the low that took the high, set the high, and then pulls back into the gold zone. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 opportunities from one delta held setup. This is your 90% of the range, this is your gold zone. And then on the buy side of the same thing, same setup, you've got your sweep of the low, clearing the high that set the low, and then you pull back into the gold zone. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then probably 6 trades, all within this range. So you can see that the utility of having these drawn on at the start of the session and how strong they are as a confluence. This sort of sideways action we're going through at the moment is what Scalper calls the ping pong pattern, for obvious reasons. It's difficult when you don't know what's going on. It's difficult to maneuver, and I think what is difficult at the moment is you might follow the VIX, right? Does that come up? If you follow the VIX, the Volatility Index, that gives you a good indication of sort of what to expect. volatility wise. Now, I got fucked up when I went live. Full disclosure, I went live. I'd been absolutely sniping, trading NQ with a 5-point stop loss, barely any red days, absolutely murking it, bruv. And then I went live, and my brain fell out, and red day after red day after red day after red day, and bro, I can't even lie, I was a mess. I was a mess, bro. I didn't blow the account. I got very close to blowing the account. And I've done the sensible thing after 5 or 6 red days in a row, which is like 12 or 15 consecutive losing trades. After all of that pain, I thought it might be a good idea to drop down in size. So I've done that now, which has helped me regain my composure. You know, the plus side is that I've learned from my mistakes. It's only made me push even harder. I've delved into what I was doing wrong. I've gone back. I've been absolutely smashing TA. I've been going through the lessons. I've been drilling. I've been doing all the stuff that I've been avoiding for the first year or two, basically. And there's reasons for that, but ultimately, now I'm actually doing the fucking work, and I'm starting to see the market so clearly, and it's, yeah, you can see why Scalper says it's only a matter of time, because it truly is once you start actually putting in the elbow grease. But yeah, that's my little spiel. The volatility index at the moment, it's really low. So you might look at this and go, all right, okay, so we're not expecting much movement today, so I'm not going to expect it to go very far. That was my thinking, and that's pretty much why I got fucked up for like a week and a half. Because as we've seen on the open, it's been doing crazy moves. Ain't no low volatility. What the fuck? Well, I had a quick discussion with Scalper about it, and basically, if the volatility index is low, if the volatility is low, then you can essentially assume that there's going to be less support and resistance because there's less volume in the market, right? With that being said, when you get an influx of volume at the open and there's less support and resistance, that's why you see price flying like it does, like doing 100 points up out of nowhere. And then obviously if you weren't expecting that, that's what then triggers that fight or flight response, because it's thrown you off, and then you start chasing price and whatnot. So I'm glad that I clocked that. Now I know that if the VIX is really low or if the VIX is really high, expect some craziness, because for the reasons I just explained, you want that nice sweet spot in the middle, which is around about, in my opinion, sort of 16 to 18 is where I really like to trade. Anything above that, anything below that, it's you just need to be a bit more well-rounded as a trader, I would say. So that's pretty much that covered. I think I've covered everything, yeah. So, Delta held's a solid pattern. Don't sleep on that at all. Easy as 1, 2, 3, quite literally. And I think I've said it in previous videos, but what studying the Delta held pattern does is it puts you multiple steps ahead of the market. When you start seeing that structure forming, you're 1, and then you're 2. You're like, all right, hold tight, draw the fib on, wait for it to come into your 3, and then you should have an idea of order flow criteria. And then you just apply your order flow criteria, which we can do in another video. But if you haven't been doing already, start drilling the Delta held pattern for both buy side and sell side, because it's clutch. Same thing, if you're not doing that, or if you're only doing one side, you'll be in a buy and then price will reverse, and you'll be like, why the fuck's it reversed? And it's because it's in a Delta held on the sell side. Additionally, because you know how price acts when it comes into a model 3 and it's gonna reverse, because that's what not model 3, when it comes into the third point of the Delta held, and you know it's going to reverse because you're used to seeing it. When you have it on the opposite side, if price starts pushing into that gold zone and you wouldn't take a sell, you know that you don't need to come out your buy. So it really just gives you that holistic understanding of the market, and that's ultimately what leads to profitability. So yeah, any questions as always, guys, shoot me a message. Peace.